Hello out there. Today, what I want to talk about is DeFi. Like, what is it? How is it different than centralized finance? And what does it mean to you? If you're excited about what I'm going to talk about, just drop an excited down below. If you're enjoying my broadcast, make sure you like this video and subscribe to it, and even share this with someone who might benefit from it, because that tells me that everybody likes what I'm talking about and that I should keep doing it. What I'm going to do now is on Mondays, I'm going to do a market update of the overall market, what I think the structure looks like, where Bitcoin's headed, and all that. And then I'm going to, on Thursdays, what I'm going to put together is a video on DeFi. So I want to talk about DeFi applications, how it works, what it is, security, all that kind of stuff. So if there's something that you specifically want me to talk about in terms of DeFi, just comment down below. Is it a protocol? Is it a platform? Do you have questions about it? Just put those in there and I'll try to add those to my broadcast. And if I get good protocols, I'll review them and I'll tell you what I think and kind of talk about what I'm in and what's going on and whether or not it would make sense and whether or not I would even use it. So to get started, what I think we really need to do is we need to define what centralized finance even is. So you have centralized finance and then decentralized finance. So in centralized finance, banks are kind of the center. Banks hold and manage money. Banks are the ones who you have to apply for a loan to get. Banks have regulations. So banks have to process your loan. You have applications, and then you have fees associated with everything you do with multiple parties enjoying those fees. And you're usually not one of those parties who enjoys the fees. So if you go into the store and you buy a 7-Up, then you have to process through a processor. So the business puts the money into you put the money into the processor sends it to someone, they send it to the bank approves it, the bank sends it to someone else, and after this like circular thing, and multiple fees involved, you finally get to take your drink, and the merchant gets charged a lot of those fees and they have to take the brunt of it. So the big thing about centralized finance is you have your money, businesses have their money, the banks hold and manage, you have to apply to get loans. If you want to buy or sell something, the banks are the intermediary who tells you how much you're going to pay, and ultimately it becomes like a stranglehold. Businesses don't really have any sort of say in what they can buy, what fees they want, what fees they don't want. They just kind of have to grin and bear it at a cost of doing business. So the idea of decentralized finance really is in its name. It's decentralized. And so it removes the need for banks. It removes the fees from banks. It removes all of the different processing things that have to happen and all the people who take their cut along the way. And because it removes so much, and it takes away the need for banks, it puts the responsibility for your money in your hands. And so you are responsible for custodying your money. You're responsible for security of your money. You're responsible of keeping it and making it or losing it. If you get hacked and something happens, there's no FDIC insurance. So you have to be careful and you have to be your own bank. And with decentralized finance, you have the ability to basically be in a peer-to-peer environment with your finances. And what that means is you have the ability to lend, borrow, transfer, put your money in different places instantly and without needing permission to do it. In decentralized finance, you don't have to fill out an application to get a loan. In decentralized finance, you don't have to fill out an application to put your money into a pool to earn interest. With decentralized finance, you have your wallet and you put your money in, you give the wallet permission to interact with what we call a DApp or a decentralized application, and then your money goes in and out. It's usually instantaneous. It happens within seconds. And now the cool thing about decentralized finance is it puts the power in your hands. It puts the power in the hands of the people to be able to manage their money. It removes the power and the need for the banks to charge fees for everything. And it removes them as the centralized intermediary to make everything happen. And so the other cool thing about DeFi is it's based on blockchain. And because it's based on blockchain, DeFi is designed to work around crypto and to work with coins and to work in the crypto environment. And so what that means is we can see everything that happens. So there's no way to hide things. There's no way to hide things that aren't happening. There's no way to pretend like things aren't happening. There's no way to hide transactions. There's no way to FUD information. All you have is the open blockchain. And what that kind of looks like, I'll show you in a second. And let me know if this is making sense. Just drop a make sense down below. I wanted to do a bird's eye overview of what DeFi is, and then I'll go into some examples. So when I look at like Phantom Scan, for example, everything here is in the block explorer. So if I put my money into a lending protocol, if I put my money into a liquidity pool, if I put my money into anything, there's a smart contract associated with it. And what I can see on that smart contract is every transaction that's happened and every transaction that's going to happen associated with that contract. So then I can go in there and I can see everything and I can make an inference and an idea and I can understand where money is flowing. If money is flowing in, money is flowing out. I can understand if it looks sketchy, if it doesn't look sketchy. And so it gives me the power to really understand everything because it's open and it's permissionless. Now, the next thing we want to look at with DeFi ultimately is DeFi Llama for me is a really good site because it lets me see sort of the total industry of DeFi and what it looks like. Right now, across all blockchains, there's $215.25 billion of value locked. So it's not a small number, but it's not a big number in comparison to where centralized finance is. The thing about DeFi, when we look at what's happening is there's a bunch of different protocols. And so that these create DApps, DeFi, decentralized applications that you interact with to move and adjust your money and get loans, do all that. And so all of these platforms and protocols are DApps that you can interact with. And then when we look at the next phase of DeFi, there's different chains. So the problem with Ethereum originally was it became too expensive for people to operate on. Sometimes it can get upwards of $200-$300 for a transaction, which a normal person can't really stomach that. So now what's happened is we have an ecosystem of blockchains that have been created to compete with Ethereum. So Ethereum is kind of like the top layer. Everybody builds underneath it. So Ethereum is the top layer, builds a security apparatus and protocol to make sure it doesn't get hacked and issues don't happen. And then people build their DApps underneath Ethereum. So they operate on that chain. And because of that, Ethereum, the coin, becomes the main coin to be used for what we call gas in the application. And when we use Ethereum for gas, those are essentially transaction fees that we pay to use the blockchain. And now the platforms that have been created to be competitors to reduce congestion and to reduce fees, which is important for scalability, you can see all of them down below. There's been a ton that have been created. And so you look at the top ones and it works in the same way. So we have Luna. You use Luna for gas, Luna for transactions, BNB, Binance Chain, you use BNB for gas and transactions, AVAX, you use AVAX, Sol, Phantom. So you use the platform's main coin for transaction fees, and fees vary across blockchains. You look at Phantom, it's usually in pennies. You look at AVAX right now, it's $10 or $15 from a transaction when it's busy. BNB is usually a couple of dollars. Luna is usually like 25 cents. Ethereum can be anywhere from $10 to like $1,200. It typically suffers from high gas issues right now. And that's why so many competitors have been created. So when you look at it, Ethereum is the main application that someone would build under. They use the Ethereum virtual machine. And then all of these platforms operate in the Ethereum ecosystem. So each little DeFi platform, and let's take a look at Phantom, because I think that's the theme I have built here. Let's take a look at that Phantom. So Phantom is the main for the main application. Phantom is the idea and the big overall layer that everybody builds under. And then you can see the applications that build under Phantom. So for example, and let's explore the next phase, for example, Spooky Swap. If you have money and you get your money in Phantom and you want to trade and lend and borrow, you can go to DApps. And a DApp, for example, would be Spooky Swap. So I can go into Spooky Swap and I can see the total value they have locked on their platform, 748 million, their total market cap, 98 million, and how many boos, which is their token that are circulating that they've given out. And so inside Spooky Swap, this is a good example of DeFi. I can swap tokens. So I can swap my Phantom for Boo, Phantom for US dollar coin, Phantom for whatever, and I can get new coins. So instead of going into the bank and saying, hey, I want to deposit my US dollars and I need to get pesos or something, I can go in here and I can swap my Phantom for whatever I want. So I can swap a bunch of cryptocurrencies instantly and without needing permission or applications to do it. If I want to swap $10 million of Phantom into US dollar coin, no one's going to come at me and I don't need to fill out applications and I don't have the Treasury Department and stuff like that investigating me for a large transaction. Now, though, they can see it on your taxes. So this doesn't mean that nobody's ever going to see it because it is available, like I said, and open on the actual blockchain. So your transactions are public. So it's not a way to hide. It's not a way to run away from finances or taxes or anything like that. The other thing we look at is the way this decentralized application works is you supply liquidity. So it's peer-to-peer. So you supply liquidity into pools. Your liquidity gets put into a pool. For example, if I wanted to supply like Phantom and Boo, I would put these two together in a 50-50 portion. And then what happens is I can put that into a farm, and the farm essentially earns me interest. And the reason I get interest off of these farms is because people who are swapping, I'm providing the liquidity so people can swap. So I put Phantom and Boo in there, my Phantom and Boo goes into the liquidity pool, and then that liquidity becomes available for people to swap back and forth between Phantom and Boo. And then every time there's a swap, there's a transaction fee from the application that gets put back to me. So what we're doing is essentially we're like playing with game theory here. We are taking our coins and our money and putting it into what we could consider like a savings account. And that savings account gets lended out that as other people borrow and buy and swap, and I get a portion of the fees that are accrued from that. So instead of the bank taking my money in a savings account and lending it out to someone who they charge 20% interest, I put my money into a decentralized application and they allow people to swap and move it around and use it. And I get a portion of the fees. So the fees that the bank would take and all the middlemen go away, and I get a portion of that. So it becomes peer-to-peer in the idea that I not only get to take part in this, but I get to earn off of it as well, because I am providing the bank. I am the bank to allow these platforms and these protocols to actually operate. And so what happens is I put my money in, say, in this liquidity pool. Now it's going to be available to be lent out and to be swapped and all that stuff on Spooky. And then I can put my money into a farm. And so a farm is you put your money in the liquidity pool and then you put it in the farm, and now you earn off the fees I was just talking about. So for example, if I'm in USDC Boo, say I put that into the liquidity pool and then I farm it, now I'm earning 48% off of what I allowed the platform to utilize. And so what happens now is instead of banks having 744 different fees you have to pay or giving you 0.001% interest, you're able to earn your fees off of the swaps and the liquidity that you provide to the farm that other people are going to use to be able to swap and move their coins around. So it essentially becomes this peer-to-peer environment. Another cool example of the way this works, the way DeFi works, is looking at like Scream. This is another really cool protocol, and I'll look at these deeper later on down the road, but this is an idea of peer-to-peer lending. And so what happens in Scream, I like the Phantom branding, Spooky Swap, Scream, Phantom of the Opera. But so what happens in Scream is I can put my assets in. So for example, say I'm sitting on a bunch of Bitcoin that I want to use to lend out or to get coins or something to use. And so what I can do in here is I can deposit my Bitcoin into the platform, and I earn money for depositing it. Right now, 0.43% for supplying it, which obviously isn't very much, and another 0.5% in their token. But for borrowing it, they charge me 2.72%, but I'm also earning their token of 3.27%. So the protocol itself has the opportunity to incentivize you to use it by paying out in their own tokens. So in this example, Bitcoin, I'm going to earn 1% for supplying it if it just sat there. And then I'm going to earn, it's going to be 4.27%. We'll say 4.5% just to be easy. So I'm earning 4.5% just to supply it and to allow and to take a loan out against it. And it's going to charge me 2.72%. So if I sold all of the tokens that I get from the farm, it allows me to net neutral on my lending. And the reason this is possible is because the token or the farm itself or the protocol is incentivizing me to do that, to use their protocol. But what's cool about this is I can say I want to deposit my 10 Bitcoin in here, and I just pop it on as collateral. So then what happens is I deposit my Bitcoin and I set myself up so I can borrow against my Bitcoin, and then I immediately get the money. And so if I was going to do that in a bank, if I wanted to go get a loan out against my assets, if I wanted to do anything, I would have to go through an application. I would have to get approved. It would take forever. But here, this would all happen within probably 10 minutes, maybe less. I mean, if I was doing it right now, it'd probably take me about 2 minutes to do this. So what we want to do is we're essentially depositing our Bitcoin. Say I just deposited to supply it. What it's going to allow this protocol to do is what I supplied, now they can lend out, and they can allow people to borrow. So my assets are being supplied, and my assets are allowing other people to borrow and take those assets. And so you create this peer-to-peer lending environment to where you hold your assets, you deposit your assets, you earn off of depositing and holding, and you're able to borrow against your assets, and other people can borrow from what you've deposited in the pool. And so it creates this interesting environment to where we are the bank and we are the intermediary to being able to create this ecosystem to where we have almost instantaneous borrowing and lending and swapping and essentially financial management under our own umbrella. And so what's really cool about this is it's based on a permissionless environment. You don't have applications, you don't have loan, you don't have anything you have to do to make it happen other than approve a transaction and pay a gas fee. And then at the same time, on security. So if you're in good protocols and you're in protocols that make sense, the security behind it is you're locked into a smart contract. The smart contract keeps your funds safe so other people don't get it and hack it. If other people are borrowing too much and they get liquidated, that kind of makes the whole system structure and function in a way to where you can have a relative amount of security, as long as you're not connecting your wallet to nefarious sites, you're not allowing people to see your seed phrase, because ultimately you're responsible for your own domain and you're responsible for your ability to either generate wealth or lose it. And what I love about the idea of DeFi is it puts the power in the hands of the people. So I can put my money in any of these pools and I can earn what in the regular financial industry would be an ungodly amount of money, like 36%, even 10%, 36% from Phantom and UST. You look at some of these, this stablecoin pool, 8%. So a lot of these, like this beats inflation kind of. Actually, it barely beats inflation. But what's cool about it is I can earn these interest rates that destroy the standard market idea that we have to, of what a savings account really is. And it puts you in this environment where you can earn off the assets you have. Now, as a caveat, you have to be smart. If you just put your money into something random and the coin tanks, your APR is not going to be enough to make up for that. So I have a strategy that I call looping leverage. And what we do is we create a lower risk strategy so we can earn and create a higher risk strategy down the road and essentially loop our profits to create a strategy that ultimately allows us to acquire capital over time and not lose it. If you're interested in me making a video on looping leverage, just comment looping leverage down below and I'll make that. But let me know if that makes sense. That's pretty much all I have for today. What I really wanted to go over was the thoughts and the ideas and the concepts surrounding DeFi, what it is, what it means, and basically give all of you an idea of how it works, how it functions, how it's even possible, and how all this magic internet money is being created, because there's incredible opportunities right now. And I think that if you're in the front and center of it, we have this window where we can create wealth. And this isn't financial advice. This is just what I do. It's what I like. It's what I enjoy. And honestly, I don't even need a savings account anymore because the earnings over here are ridiculous. So that's it. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. If you think this could benefit from somebody, make sure you share it. If you want to join my private chat with a bunch of our people in there where we go back and forth, I tell them what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, then look in the comments and I'll post a link and pin the link to my private chat to where you can join. But that's it. I will